following announcement has been paid for by the new Howell order.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs, the blue is the blue. Covered all here. Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. Man, I hate doing this shit. But it's a part of the biz. It's a part of the game. And I have no shame in admitting when I'm wrong. And so, it is time to offer up a double O to those who need to hear this. Okay, I was wrong about firing Ron Rivera. So many of you wanted this man fired a month and a half, 2 months ago, after the Bears game, after the first Giants game. And I was like, no, don't fire him. What good is that going to do? You're not going to find your next head coach in season. The guys that you want to hire as replacements, they're all working. You can't even talk to them. So it doesn't make any difference. And I was adamant. Firing him isn't going to change anything. And on the field, it probably wouldn't have changed anything from a wins-loss perspective. Maybe it would have, maybe it wouldn't have. I doubt it. Nobody on this staff is a superstar. No one was going to take over a la Antonio Pierce and change the way that we thought as a team. No one was going to change the mentality of these players. No one was going to come in here and change the culture of this locker room. We are what we are. We're a bad team. We're poorly coached. And that wasn't going to change. Firing Ron or keeping him, it was all going to be the same. In my mind, at least. That was until 2 weeks ago when this clown show of a head coach decided to bench Sam Howell in favor of Jacoby Brissett at this point of the season. And I thought to myself, damn. All of those people who said fire Ron Rivera were right. He should have been fired after the Dallas game. That's when instead of firing Jack Del Rio, they should have fired Ronald Rivera. That's who should have been fired. Jack should have been promoted to interim head coach. EB continues to run the offense. That's what should have happened. They fired the wrong man. And you know what? I don't know. Maybe Jack would have done the same thing. I don't know. None of them deserve to be here, honestly. But Ronald is clueless. You know, at this point, he's just doing shit just to be doing shit. It's almost like now he's sitting in the control room, right? And he's just pressing buttons. He doesn't know what any of these shits do, actually. But he's like, I mean, if I press all of them, something's going to get done, right? So he's just pressing buttons in the control room. So you bench Sam Howell against the Rams. Whoop did he effing do? What did you actually accomplish by doing that? What'd you do? So you bench him against the Jets again. And it's over for you guys that are out there that are still hanging on by a thread. I went inside last week. I know when it's time. Right? It's over. It's done. They ruined this kid here in Washington. And it ain't a damn thing we can do about it at this point. It's over. New quarterback, here we come. Ronald stepped up to the podium today and reportedly, again, I didn't watch, but reportedly he said they're going to get with the staff, all right, because it was Christmas yesterday. The staff had off. The players have off today. And so they'll come together as a staff, make a decision, and then let the players know tomorrow. They're going to bench him in favor of Jacoby Brissett. Because if they were sticking with Sam, then would you have to make that comment? Wouldn't you just say, no, Sam Howell's still our quarterback, just like he did last week? If there was no change, why do you need to talk to the team? If there's no change. So he's being benched, essentially. With 2 games left in the season, they're going to bench him. For good. Presumably. Because the next group's going to come in here, draft a quarterback, and the likelihood is that guy's going to start day 1. He better be ready to start day 1 at least. What a disaster this head coaching situation has been and what a disaster this staff has been this season. My goodness. I mean, I didn't think firing the head coach made a difference because you're not going to find his replacement now. And those of you who kept saying, fire Ron, fire Ron. And I was like, nah, don't do that. For what? I never thought about it from this angle. He still could F some more shit up on the way out. I didn't think it was possible. He had already done all the damage that he was going to do. I didn't think he could do just a little bit more damage just for safekeeping on the way out. But he did. The one last credit that I was trying to give him on the way out, because I had already taken the culture credit away from him. Give me my shit back. You really didn't change shit about the culture here. We suck on the field, and in the locker room, these guys are just as split as they were when you got here. You're still stabbing guys in the back. There's still leaks within the organization. We're still taking the low road instead of the high road when guys are no longer here. It's the same shit. So give me my culture change back. You ain't responsible for shit in that regard, other than keeping it status quo. But you know what I was going to give you credit for? Hey, you did find Sam. And even though you lucked up on it, you stumbled upon him starting in week 18 last year because your dumbass benched Taylor Heineke, didn't want to put him back in when you saw Wentz wasn't the answer early in that Browns game, didn't even know we could be eliminated from the playoffs with a loss coupled with the Packers win, and then wanted to go back to Heineke, and Heineke was like, kiss my ass, once you start Sam, you wouldn't have even stumbled upon Sam in week 18 last year. But that's another story for another day. The fact of the matter is you drafted him in the 5th round when you didn't have to. You made him QB3 last year, and when Wentz went down, QB2 last year for about a 5-week stretch or so. You gave him an opportunity in week 18. Again, didn't have to. Probably wouldn't have if not for Heineke. You didn't have to make him your starter after everybody told you, no, he's a 5th round pick. No, you need to win this year. You're hinging your career on a 5th round quarterback, yada, yada, yada. You said, nah, we got our guy. We believe in him. So did I. And then you systematically broke this kid down with decision after decision after decision after decision that was wrong, 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 and wrong. Starting with hiring Eric Bieniemy, which, look, you rolled the dice. I'm not mad at it at this point. You know, you made a decision. I, was hoping that he'd come here and bring some of that Kansas City Chief pedigree with him. He didn't. Shit happens. I'm not even upset about that decision. I'm upset that you doubled down on Eric Bieniemy's tomfoolery after you saw what he was doing after the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season and said, damn, we lost to the Bears 40-20 in a game in which Sam Howell, our rookie quarterback, let's call it what it is, making his 6th career start, threw the football over 50 times in a row in the game, had 50 dropbacks in a row in the game, and you co-signed this bullshit. After this is what Eric Bieniemy was doing week after week, and don't sell me on the bullshit early in the season that we were down big in every single game, because we weren't. Okay? We weren't. The first time we were down big in a game was the Broncos game in week 2. We cut that deficit down to next to nothing by halftime. Okay? But that's okay. The number of passes in that game, that's fine. You were down 21-3 at one point. I get it. The Bills game, it was 16-0 for 3 quarters, brother. 3 quarters. You don't have to abandon your game plan being down 2 scores. And, oh, by the way, Brian Robinson Jr. was averaging over 7 yards a carry. There was no reason for Sam to be throwing it in the rain with your running back averaging over 7 a pop to be throwing it over 40 times. But you did. In a game where he was struggling, clearly, with the 4 interceptions. But you did. Eagles game the following week was one of the few masterpieces of the season. Right? Week 5, a debacle. And it should have been at that point where you step in and you say, maybe we should do it a little bit different. But you didn't. And you kept co-signing the shit that Eric Bieniemy was doing, because really, Eric Bieniemy was running the damn team. He was really running the team. And you weren't doing shit but standing there with your damn arms folded. And I'm ashamed of myself because I didn't see this stupid shit coming. This is dumbass coaching 101. And I sat back in my mind and said, it can't get any worse. Ron's already effed this thing up as much as he possibly can. I didn't see him effing up Sam in the way that he did. Total mind F at the end of the season. This is the same coach that told us at the end of last year, hey, I want to run it 2-to-1 ratio, run the pass. And we all jumped on him and said, hey, bro, you tripping. This ain't 1993. And he kind of backpedaled, as in typical Ronald Rivera fashion, started talking too damn much, moonwalking and having diarrhea of the mouth. So he went from, hey, I want to run it 2-to-1, right? Run the pass ratio to, hey, let's throw this bitch 4-to-1. Pass to run ratio. Like, how do you go from that end of the spectrum at the end of last season to where we are now, where your quarterback is dropping back and slinging the bitch, 40 times a week? How do we get to that point? That shit makes zero sense to me. None. But I digress. Benching Sam in the Rams game was the stupidest thing I'd seen in a long time here in Washington, because it made little to no sense. There have been games this season where you could have made the point for Sam being benched at the end of a game when the other team had their ears pinned back and he was struggling and getting sacked, and you could have saved some of those sacks that that Bills game, even though they left him in there, and I didn't have a problem with it at the time, but he got sacked 4 or 5 more times at the end of that game. That's how that total got up so high. We were down big and they were teeing off and he was making mistakes. He could have got him out of there. No, he needs the experience. He needs the experience. There were plenty of games. That Bears game at the end, they were teeing off on him. He got sacked 3 times at the end of that game. The Bears had like 2 sacks coming into the game total. They got 3 sacks in the last drive or two when they knew he had to throw the football. You could have taken him out of that game. We were down. We weren't coming back. It was 40-20. You kept him out there anyway and let him get his ass kicked. You never thought about his well-being then, did you? But then, magically, we get to the end of the season and he's getting his ass kicked. But not in the sense of, hey, he's getting sacked all over the place. Just the fact that mentally he's struggling. But if he's your guy, he's got to work his way out of this shit. And maybe he's spiraling out of control to the point where he's not going to work his way out of it. But don't tell me then, if you're benching him because of performance, just say that. Don't tell me, yeah, we were saving him from himself. We didn't want him to take any more hits. We didn't want him to take any more damage. We didn't want to put him in that position. Oh, yeah? He was sacked 1 time against the Rams. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? He wasn't getting beaten up in that game. He's getting mind effed by you and Eric Bieniemy and everybody else in the organization. That's what happened. Then you come back and you do the shit again against the Jets. Both of his picks came because of his teammates letting him down. And you take him out of the game. Now, again, he wasn't playing well. I'm not sitting here and telling you he wasn't playing well. He wasn't playing well. What good does putting in Jacoby Brissett do at this point of the season is my question. What does that do? Really? I mean, he's starting now, and I don't want to win anything, and Jacoby Brissett isn't going to win us anything. I'm hoping they start him against San Francisco so the Eric Bieniemy crowd out there, see? So the 49ers can beat us 50-10 this week, and Jacoby Brissett can throw 3 interceptions. And I'm not rooting for this, by the way. I hope he goes out and plays well. Got nothing against Jacoby Brissett. I just don't want to win. He can go out and throw for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, make Eric Bieniemy look like a genius, And as long as we lose the game, I don't give a shit. Personally. I don't. But I just want you guys to know it's a lot different when a guy comes in down 3 scores at the end of a ball game when the other team is taking their foot off the gas pedal defensively versus starting game 0-0 when it's still competitive and the other team's trying to still kick your ass and kick your teeth in. So I want to see what Jacoby Brissett does in this case. He's going to start, right? I mean, if Ronald isn't telling the media that they're still sticking with Sam, then that means they're making a change. Which I'm all for it now at this point. You've already screwed this kid. It's over. What a shit show this has been. Boy, was I wrong. They should have fired Ron after Thanksgiving. Immediately after Thanksgiving. Which leads me right into in other news. I got a question for y'all. As I was thinking about this over the holiday weekend. Because of just how disappointed I've been this season. And how this shit is going. I didn't see this season ending up the way that it did. Missing the playoffs, not winning 10 games, all within the realm of possibility. This team doesn't win 10 plus games anyway, so all of that was just me trying to be optimistic, this, that, and the other. But I would have bet every penny that I had, which would have been the stupidest thing I could have ever done. But before the season started, if you would have told me this team isn't winning 6 games, they're not going to win 6 games this season, I'd have bet you everything I had. You were insane. Absolutely crazy. And after we started 2-0, I would have doubled down and I would have took out a loan and bet every penny of that too. There's no way we weren't winning 6 games. Are you kidding me? You're right. The job that these guys have done this season to send this team in reverse is one of the most incredible coaching tank jobs I've ever seen in my life. This shit is next level what they're doing in Washington right now. That first half against the Jets is one of the most incompetent halves of football you can possibly play. It is amazing that the Jets didn't score 40 in that first half. Who watched that first half of that Jets game and didn't walk away saying, oh my God, we got to be the worst team in football right now? It was one of the most laughable displays on an NFL field I have seen. And I've seen some bad Washington Redskins teams over my lifetime. But this is by far and away the worst Washington Commanders team I've ever seen. Not even close. Which leads me to my question for you. And I'll make it short and sweet and I won't talk your head off and we can get out of here. What is the most disappointing Commanders, or what's the most disappointing season over the last decade for you as a fan of this team? Commanders, Redskins football team, they all get lumped in. And I think it's perfect that it's a decade that we're doing. Because 2013 is when we start in 2023, and 13 is probably right up there for a lot of you. What's the most disappointing season in the last decade for you? You'd be hard-pressed to find a season more disappointing. 19 wasn't disappointing. We expected to be trash. They just delivered on what we thought before the season. That's all they did. So it wasn't disappointing. It was just reassuring that, hey, we asked, right? Yeah, we asked. Yeah, no doubt about it. And it was just confirming what we already knew. Can't be disappointed if you already expected something to happen. Or maybe you can still be disappointed. But you shouldn't be surprised. I think disappointment is at its peak when surprise is attached to it. When you don't see it coming. That's why the Bears game for me this year was mind-numbing. Because I got blindsided. What we had done 4 days before, losing in the way that we did, in my mind signified this is a good football team. And we're going to prove it now over the next 3 weeks against the Bears, the Falcons, and the Giants. And we're going to see that same Eagles team, and we're going to beat them next time. So what I saw on Thursday Night Football in Week 5 was one of the most disappointing efforts in my memory over the last decade that pertains to this team. And what I watched this year as a fan going into a season with high expectations, thinking Eric Bieniemy was going to be the savior, and maybe that's where my damn warped mind got me in trouble, thinking that one man could come in here and change around years and years of dysfunction with a head coach that is just as clueless as he is mid. That was my fault for thinking that Eric Bieniemy was going to come in here and change shit up amidst all of this dysfunction and trash. That was my fault. I take the blame for that. I take the responsibility for that. But still, I allowed myself to be vulnerable with this team again. And boy, did they shit all over me in the worst possible way. I still can't get the stench of this season off. We got 2 more weeks. I don't want any more. I'm over here on my Roberto Duran shit. No mas. No mas. I just want this to be over with. Bro, this death by 1,000 cuts, just shoot me, please. End this shit. Shoot this season. Shoot him. Shoot the season. Twice. Pop, pop. Close range. Let's just end it. I'm done. This shit has been a nightmare. I can't think of a more disappointing season in the last decade than this one right here. I can't speak for anybody else out there. This season is the perfect season to put the Snyder era to bed, to put a pretty bow on everything that we've dealt with the last 25 years roughly. This is the perfect season to put a bow on all that shit and just move on. It was the perfect, most fitting ending to a dysfunctional, disgusting, and nasty 25 years, quarter of a century essentially, that we've gone through as a fan base. Perfect way. Now let's just wipe the slate clean, go into this offseason. I'm going to be back on Cloud 9, just like I was last offseason when we were getting rid of Snyder. Back on Cloud 9 because this is a franchise-altering and potentially defining offseason. And personally, if I have it my way, I know Marty Hurney probably doesn't have a lot to do with anything that's going on right. I don't want anybody from the front office on the football side. I don't give a shit about business side. Do whatever the hell you want to do over there. Because that don't really impact the product on the field. Anybody from the football side. I don't want anybody back. Nobody. I just want to start over. Clean slate. And this is no disrespect to all the tireless work that the coaching staff has put in and these front office guys. No disrespect to none of y'all. I just don't want anything that's left of what this has been to be here when we start this thing anew next year. Next week, the calendar will turn to 2024. And the week after that, the calendar will turn to a opportunity to move on and clean the slate on January 8th. Really on the night of January 7th, but we'll just call it January 8th. And at that point, I'm ready to move forward, and I don't want anybody left standing in the building on the football side of this thing. That's how nasty this season has been. I don't even want one single person. And there are guys like Eric Stokes that I respect. I like Eric Stokes. You can't be here, man. I'm sorry. Because you sold me on Emmanuel Forbes over Gonzalez. And I don't see it. I didn't see it and I don't see it. And he may turn out to be one hell of a football player. But you were a part of that decision-making process. Y'all all have to go. All of you. Every single one of you. If they keep one person, I might feel some type of way. I'm not going to change the way that I go into this offseason feeling open mind, open heart, open eyes, gleeful, excited about the future. But in the back of my mind, I'm going to be like, but there's still one there. There's still somebody there that has ties to the way shit is gone that I don't want them there. It'll be in the back of my mind, but I'm not going to hold it against them if they decide to keep one guy. But if I have it my way, nobody survives. Everybody goes. I'm tired. I'm tired of this. I'm tired, boss. I'm tired, boss, of this season. It's been one of the most disappointing to watch unfold. Watching the last 5 games has been a chore. I bullshit you not. Going into these games, like the Giants game didn't start off as a chore. Like, hey, we got one final chance at this thing. Seattle felt, and I told y'all in a moment, Seattle felt like the last stand. Like the last bit of energy that we had to fight, all of that. That felt like it. But I was like, if you still want to try to make something of this, you beat the Giants, and then you got Dallas on Thanksgiving, and let's just see what happens. But when we came out and there was zero fight against the Giants in that second game, I said, okay, I see what this is now. You guys, you waved the white flag. It's over. Got your ass whooped on Thanksgiving. They throwing alley-oops and eating turkey legs and shit. Yeah, it's bad. Let's just, break. Let's just break. Like, let's just end this shit now. Having to watch the Dolphins come in here and us act as if we've never seen Tyreek Hill before, didn't know what he was capable of, coming off the bye week and saying, hey, let's see if the bye week did anything, and then immediately falling down 20-0 and looking lifeless in that game. Cooper Kupp, I guess he never won league MVP before. Guess he never was a Triple Crown winner, and guess we'll just give him 18 yards of space in every direction and not cover him, right? It's a great plan, This shit is painful. This shit is painful. I'm over it. What is the most disappointing season over the last decade for you? Could be 2013. Could be 2016. That was a pretty bad one. Could be this year. Could be last year for you. Who knows? Leave it down in the comment section. I know what it is for me. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Commanders Nightly News. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. We're supposed to be doing an NFC East Super Friends tonight, but I haven't heard from the fellas yet, other than Bad Dog, who has already responded. So I await the responses of L.B. and Law. If they give us the green light, we should be live tonight. And it sucks because we really, because of how this has fallen and, everything going on, there's really hasn't been a lot of promotion for it. But we'll see. But in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Take care. See you next time.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.